All right, it is Friday, and you know what that means? It means it's time for manufacturing e-commerce success. I am one of your co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, and that lovely guy right over there, in that styling shirt, is Mr. Curt Anderson. We're happy today. We're going to be talking about powerful e-commerce solutions for manufacturers with Lance Owide. Curt, take it away, my friend.
Dude, man, it looks like you're in a little bit of a different background there, Damon.
Little
You're
bit.
traveling, you're somewhere
We're
on the road.
traveling today.
What's going on over there, huh?
On the road today.
Okay,
On the road today.
you got a big weekend planned with a wife, so we wish you an amazing, incredible weekend. Happy Friday, my friend. Can you believe July is like flying by? Is this just insane or just
no kidding?
What? But hey, we're still in the thick of summer, and boy, you talk about summer sizzling. We've got a really hot show today, man. We're going to talk about just limitless potential with e-commerce. So, guys, drop us a note. Let us know that you're out there. I'm going to give a big shout out, a warm, hot Austin welcome to our dear friend Lance Owide. Lance, happy Friday. How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. It is sizzling here in Austin, Texas. I think it's about 105. If you cracked an egg and put it, on the tarmac, it would cook. Yes, it would fry.
Well, I absolutely love it. And I know you and your wife just love the heat. So just keep it coming, right? And so, hey, we're going to dig deep, guys. We have a great discussion here. Lance is with BigCommerce. Boy, if you're not familiar with BigCommerce, we encourage you, we invite you, we welcome you to check out BigCommerce. If you are a manufacturer and you are considering tipping your toe in a little bit of the e-commerce journey, man, you are at the right place. So let's just dive in. So Lance, but before we go there, again, hey, Damon, we got some friends here today. We've got Whitney. Happy Friday. Whitney Houston. She's a fellow Texan. We've got, we got Sunil here today. We got Amos. Inger's in the house. Inger.
Yeah.
Happy Friday. Dylan's here. We got all sorts of friends. So guys, happy Friday. Keep the comments coming.
Yeah.
Do us a favor, drop a note to Lance. You want to connect with Lance on LinkedIn, and we're going to have a deep dive discussion. So now, Lance, before we go there, I detect a little slight accent. If I'm not, it doesn't quite sound like an Austin accent. Do I detect that correctly?
No, this is a native Texan Austin accent. I do not know what you're talking about. Okay. Howdy, y'all. I'm Lance from Texas. How was that?
Well, you sound way too sophisticated for Damon and myself. But let's go here. We know that you are from the wonderful country of England. You are a Londoner, and let's go here for a second, my friend. When you were a little boy growing up in England, who was your hero? Who was your hero as a little guy growing up in England?
What a great question. Yes, I running around the streets in North London. I'm a big cycling fan, and my hero is Texan. It was Lance Armstrong. That was my hero. Namesake, I've got share the first name. I don't know if that's controversial now. If I can say Lance Armstrong, he's sort of disgraced, but he was my hero. I grew up watching him in the Tour de France, and actually the Tour de France is going on right now for any cycling fans out there.
That's right.
And his ability to just dominate the sport of cycling was just, I thought, absolutely incredible. And now I can pop to his bike shop here in Austin, Texas, which I often do, grab a coffee. It's about 10 minutes from my house.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool.
All right. Well, you know what? Fantastic answer. And I remember those days vividly. And just, he was an inspiration, hero, went through some, devastating health situations and just overcame. For anybody, if you don't remember that, or go back and Google those days. But boy, what Lance Armstrong, that, we're it's time, time has healed that wound. We're going to accept that one. And I like that one. So guys, again, if you're just joining us, we're here with Lance Owide. Now, Damon, I like, doing little funny things with names, like, so you've got soccer here in the United States. The rest of the world calls it football. But if you're an American football fan, Lance, wide left is really not a good phrase, Damon. Right? Like if you're like, I'm in Buffalo Bills country, like wide left is like they lost a Super Bowl on wide left. So, all right, we might go with wide right for today with Lance. So Lance, let's dive in. Now you took a very traditional path, like most people that go into e-commerce. You go off to university and you just absolutely crush it. I think, Damon, I thought he might have been in honors, just like you and I didn't have honors in college. But anyway, so honors in college, did an amazing job. He finds himself in investment banking. Like everybody goes in investment banking before you get into e-commerce. Lance, can you talk a little bit about how did this happen? How did you go into investment banking? Let's go there and let's transition how you brought your talents, your skills, your superpowers into e-commerce.
It's even worse. It wasn't just investment banking. It was then private equity.
Oh, right.
You know, if there was a natural path into e-commerce, that's it. Investment banking and then private equity.
That's right.
That's how you do it. That's
Right
how
there.
you do it. And even I was in finance, so insurance companies. We were buying and managing insurance companies. That's what I was doing. But I have always had a passion for entrepreneurship and for manufacturers, for distributors. My father owned his own business. He owned his own dry cleaning company and dry cleaning distribution business. And so I grew up watching him running this business. And as I thought about, what's the next step in a career, I really wanted to do something that was going to enable businesses around the country, around the world to grow. And that's e-commerce, right? That is e-commerce. If I think about, when I come into work every day, I am thinking about how do we make manufacturers successful? How do we make those businesses grow? What are we building that is going to enable them to expand into new regions, into new markets? What are we building that is going to help them, make their operations more efficient, to sell more, to connect with their customers in ways that they couldn't before? And that's what really motivated me to come into the e-commerce industry. It was a bit of a leap of faith, I think, of BigCommerce to say, hey, can this banker come and teach us a thing or two about B2B e-commerce? But I've been now at BigCommerce for 2 years, and it's been a truly fantastic journey.
Well, thank you for bringing your talents to the e-commerce world. And again, we've got some wonderful comments here. So
the comments are just rolling.
Send LinkedIn profiles of Curt in the chat. We've got Sunil here. Hey, Diane Byer is coming to us live from Philadelphia.
Really?
Hey, we've got Dan dropped another note. Williams is here today. So again, guys, we're here talking about e-commerce with Lance Owide. We're going to take a deep dive. So if you are considering that, if you're working in that space, if you have clients working in the space, you have a friend, family, your dog is considering e-commerce, man, you are in the right place. Lance, let's go there. You are now, transplant. You are a seasoned veteran of Austin. Like you said, like you're now a local, and you are with BigCommerce. Who and what is BigCommerce? Curious minds want to know.
Yeah, that's a great question. So BigCommerce is an open SaaS e-commerce platform. What on earth does that mean? That means that we're an e-commerce platform that is software as a service. And so you don't have to install servers. You don't have to worry about upgrading technology. You log into a website and you can purchase a plan and spin up a store in minutes. That's what, at the core, BigCommerce is all about. But we have a unique specialization for manufacturing and distributors. We've supported them for 5+ years on our platform, and we've helped numerous merchants sell online, bring their businesses online, and build unique and engaging B2B buyer experiences for manufacturers to engage in both potential end consumers, but also distributors as well that they might be selling to. And so BigCommerce is built as an open platform. So we're not trying to limit technologies that manufacturers can use. We know there are lots of specialized ERP platforms out there, specialized CRMs, et cetera, and we want you to be able to work with any platform that you wish. And so BigCommerce is open in that we'll connect to all of those wonderful platforms out there that are built for those, unique, specialized manufacturing industries that really understand the processes that manufacturers go through when they're building those products. And that's at its core really what BigCommerce is all about: empowering those manufacturers to sell more and grow their business.
Well, I love that, and Damon, if you don't mind, I think it's a good segue. Let's go right into
Dan's got some good comments here. Yeah.
What kinds of data is flowing from BigCommerce to ERP systems? Is it bi-directional and with info coming back from the ERP into BigCommerce? What do you think? Man, just throwing a fastball right off the
Yes,
and we love
getting right into it, Dan.
We've gone straight into the technical questions. I love it. The answer is bi-directional, yes, and an awful lot of data. Everything that you would need to run an e-commerce platform. So you start with product information and product data, right? And we've got to remember, manufacturers can often have large products producing lots of products and detailed information, tech specs, dimension information, etc., and potentially lots of variants. You may have lots of variations of a specific product, different colors, different sizes, all of that information syncing up, on a daily basis, hourly basis, as frequently as you need that information updated into BigCommerce. You have up to 600 variants on one single SKU. So that product data, customer data, company data, who are you selling to? As a manufacturer, you're selling to individuals, but you're also selling to companies. So all of that data syncs into BigCommerce so that your customers, your buyers, can log in using their login, but log in on behalf of the company and make purchases. Order data flowing back and forth, invoicing, quotes, pretty much everything that you can imagine is being synced back and forth. And I see, Damon's laughing over there. You can create custom fields and sync the data. You want credit limits and all weird and wonderful things. So yeah.
Well, I'm laughing because most ERP systems have horrible customer-facing ordering systems, right? And BigCommerce really gives you the ability to design one that's customer-friendly, easy to use, and the data flows nicely. So that's really what's cool about it, I think.
Yeah, to your point, I often say when I'm talking to manufacturers, BigCommerce, we're replacing that kind of custom platform that's been built on top of an ERP that is an experience that no buyer wants to have to go through and use. And that's often, when we look at the platforms that we're replacing when manufacturers come to us, number one is a custom platform, something that was, built bespoke and just it can't keep up with the modern demands of a buyer. And it just looks so outdated. I could see Dan came back with a little question there about custom part numbers. Yes, you create a custom field and you sync it up. It's that simple. So you just have a little custom field attached to a product, which is, that's the case for the majority of manufacturers. You've got lots of custom information that you need to sync back and forth with your ERP, and you can build a connectivity to handle all of that.
Perfect. So let's go. Hey, what about this one here? Is BigCommerce is that a pretty deep dive question, or how about that one?
I love that question. We get that question, all the time. There are actually lots of manufacturers out there already using AI and machine learning. And, we have to remember, AI, it's not new. This isn't really a new concept. If you've ever used product recommendations, if you've ever had, custom searches that are specific for a specific customer, that's AI, that's machine learning. That's what it is. And so a lot of the sites we use as, retail shoppers have AI machine learning built into them. Amazon does, Walmart does, Target does, they all do. And many manufacturers already do. Especially where you've got really large catalogs, in the automotive industry, we see a lot of automotive manufacturers using machine learning AI to try and handle and manage those large catalogs. But there are some new things coming. Product descriptions, help write product descriptions with AI. There are already some apps in our app store that help manufacturers do that. I think it's a really cool one. Sorry, Curt.
Yeah, no, this is phenomenal. And so a couple of things that I want to hit here is, so we can get a little sophisticated. Again, guys, keep the questions coming. We love the comments. Connect with Lance, take conversations offline. This is exactly what he's here for, is we want to, we're here to help you on your e-commerce journey. And maybe if some of those things like kind of like, hey, this is kind of floating over my head, dude, like I'm just trying to put my website online. I mean, we can take it as simple, as you're exploring shopping carts and you're looking for solutions, you can take it as simple as you want. You can get as sophisticated as you want. We're going to dig into some really fun examples here. But, Dan, majority of folks here are entrepreneurs. We love that really exciting, juicy entrepreneurial success story. I'm going to take a step back real quick. BigCommerce has a fascinating origin story. It's two dudes that met in a chat room back in like 2003. Can you just share a little bit? And these guys are hanging out down in Australia. Just give us a little bit of the background of like, a dream that turns into a publicly traded company. What's the story here at BigCommerce?
Yeah, it's a great origin story, and it speaks to the entrepreneurship that manufacturers have, right? Mm-hmm. Honestly, Mitch and Eddie, they met in an online chat room, quite incredible. And they built a product because they were looking at the entrepreneur landscape and realized how hard it was to sell online. And so they built an online shopping cart. That's how it started. They wanted to help entrepreneurs sell, and they started just by building a shopping cart. And it went live 2009. It went live. And right, we're sitting here years later. We're now a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. And it's the product has just gone from strength to strength to strength. We're now based here in the US rather than Australia, where it started. We're headquartered here in the US. But from those humble beginnings, we haven't lost sight of what it is that we're trying to achieve and what we focus on, which is customer first. And our customers are manufacturers. They are builders. And our job is to help them sell. And to your point, Curt, and I think you were kind of talking about it, we went 10,000 feet deep there, I think, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But to bring that back up, manufacturers who are looking to get online don't have to start by biting off the whole apple. You can get online just by getting products online. If you've never had a website before, just put products on a page. That immediately opens you up to a whole new potential customer who can find you online, find your products, and then pick up the phone and give you a call. Right. And once you've done that, then you can start to think about selling online. And so we think about it for manufacturers a crawl, walk, run. And then actually they're a distributor here in Austin. There's a liquor distributor called Twin Liquors. They're a big company. They're on BigCommerce. And I had them on stage with me at our partner summit. And they said, this is our crawl, walk, run, fly strategy. And so I've added fly into that. And that's, taking off and expanding globally. And that's how we think about it.
I love that. And let's uncover that. And then we're going to dig into some examples here, Lance. And again, guys, keep the comments coming. Hey, Logan says he started his first e-commerce business in 2011. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
Hey,
that was an early one.
That was an early one. So again, for our early adapters out there, that's great. And the thing is, like, if you feel like, man, I'm late to the game, Lance, you and I were just talking about that. Like, the party is just starting. You are absolutely not late to the e-commerce game, especially if you're a manufacturer, especially if you're in B2B. And you talked about like the walk, run, crawl, walk, run formula. I have the honor and privilege, work with one of your partners Above the Fray. We like calling it like going in those phases. Like, hey, let's just really bucket this in phases. And a lot of manufacturers out there, they'll say, oh man, Logan, my bad. I'm blind, man. I can't. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, with manufacturers out there, you might be like, hey, I don't have a proprietary product. I don't have a finished good. However, Lance, you just hit it on the head. There's all sorts of opportunities. And when that customer engaged, that by definition, that is e-commerce. We're going to talk about like submitting that RFQ, configurators. Let's go there for a little bit for that custom manufacturer that doesn't have that finished good. Talk about some of the BigCommerce solutions.
Yeah, sure. So, you're building that finished good. How do you configure it? What potential options are there? Configuration is a key part of manufacturing, and it's a key part of that sales process. Mm-hmm. And that may be today on the phone with a salesperson. It's where the salespeople are key, speaking to the buyer, helping them understand the variations, understand the optionality, walking them through best practices, etc. And so, we have a number of merchants on BigCommerce that have built that functionality into their e-commerce offering, right? And who, through their e-commerce portal, you can now configure those products to then be purchased. And I think that's really a key part of what e-commerce can offer. It's not replacing that sales team, but it's making them more efficient. If I as a buyer can go online and start to play around and start to configure that product before I get to the sales process, or before I phone up the salesperson, I'm a step further. One of the businesses that I often call out here, they do actually produce some finished product here, but they're called uplift desks. They produce desks that rise with either a manual element or through an electronic element. And they have one of the most beautiful configurators that I've ever seen built online. It's fantastic. You go on their website and check
looking at it this morning again.
Yeah. They're founded here in Austin, Texas. It's sorry.
And I think you make a great point, Lance, is this kind of technology enhances the sales process, right? Like you're saying, I as a customer then can come in and learn a lot about the product. I can configure it. I can look at a lot of things. Or if I'm an existing customer and I really don't need to talk to the salesperson, I know what I want. I go through and I can configure, I can go back and reorder, I can do so many different things. And what it does for the salesperson is it allows the salesperson then to go talk to that customer about life, about other problems that they have, building relationships, rather than worrying about giving them product specifications or walking them through configurations. They're really just answering questions and building relationships, that is so much more important than handing someone a spec sheet or something like that. It's just cool how it all works together if you do it right.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's about, enabling that sales team to do what they do best, which is build relationships and sell. It's not answer, or it's not, as you said, sending a spec sheet. That is value add. And actually what you find is that most buyers today, we're used to shopping on our phones. We don't actually want to speak to someone to get that spec sheet. We want to find it online.
Right.
And so if you're offering that is making the process better for your sales team, but also for the buyer too. And they will, they'll appreciate that.
Right. Absolutely. Lance, let's jump in and why don't we take a look at some different examples? And I've got, do you want to share, or I have the dust company pulled up on my computer.
Go ahead, Curt. That'd be awesome.
Let me see how we do. Let's see. Let me share my screen. And let me do window. Let me do window. And let me do that. And can you see, what do you see, Damon? Anything? Nothing. Uh-oh.
I can't see anything, Curt.
Let me try it again.
Technology.
It's
always fun.
There we go. How about
there
this?
We go.
We see the infinite window.
There we go. That. Uplift desk. We got it.
Okay. So let's go to, Lance, let's talk about this company a little bit. What's going on here? Yeah.
So look at that configurator that you've got there. If you click on any one of those desks, it's a beautiful site. It's so engaging. It's such an engaging site. It's fantastic. But when you click on that desk, you are then given options: the size of the desk, the widgets on the desk, how are you controlling it? Is it through a remote? Is it not? Etc. And they are selling both to businesses, but also actually direct to consumer. As you can imagine, pandemic business boomed, absolutely boomed. And so I did the math a few days ago. If you take the total number of permutations of these desks, there's about 10 million permutations of how you could configure this desk, and you can do that all online with that configurator, right? As you change the material and color of that desk, that image that you can see there on Curt's screen, that'll update, and you'll see it change. And you can, see and put it. So if you're on the right there, there you go. Look, you can also add your little standing woggle board, I guess they might call it, to practice your core and your filing cabinet.
Oh,
But yeah, up the top.
That is so cool.
Look at
There
that.
you go.
Look at
Yeah.
that. You're
It's a
changing
new office.
You're changing it as you're doing it. This is phenomenal.
And I call this out because I think it's just such a great example of what is possible. And when we're talking to manufacturers, they're selling, machinery, or they're selling, HVAC units. And, why would I need a configurator like this? Or what's possible?
Right.
Well, we get this up, these guys they're a manufacturer, and this is what they have built, not just for, their direct to consumer that they have built and do have, but also for their largest businesses that they're selling to. This is how they're purchasing, because as an office manager, when you're making the purchase, you're able to see what you're buying. And this is, I think, applicable to all manufacturers. The more engaging you can make that buying process, the more likely you are to convert. And it's true in, whether you're selling to distributors or you're selling to consumers.
Yep. And John Buglino makes a good point here. You don't have to be this polished to start, because this is a pretty incredible site in and of itself. But you can start off simple. It can be color variations. It can be the other things, and not updating like this, obviously.
This is the fly in that crawl, walk, run, fly. This is the fly. Yeah.
This is the fly. Yeah.
Yep.
But the
nice
thing is, it's exploring. It's encouraging manufacturers to just kind of like open up our minds and just like, what is possible? What could I do for my product, for my solution, for my widgets? And even Lance, we've been talking on numerous different projects. When you look at the end game, like the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? Look at the end game and then reverse engineer it. One thing that I want to call out, I love this right here. Look at 734 5-star reviews.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about like now on top of everything, you're getting that social proof. I just absolutely love this.
Yeah. And I tell you, from the other side of this, the manufacturer side of this helps so much. Even customer service people internally in the manufacturing companies, it helps, because how the heck is someone supposed to understand all the variations and all the options, or the salespeople? How are you supposed to do this? The customer can go through and get exactly what they want, not the salesperson have to interpret it, and then we have to get the order entered right, and then make sure, because how easy would it be to screw up the base color or the laminate? Oh, I picked the wrong tone, or just, there's so many things that this helps with throughout the process. And just exciting. Exciting.
Yeah, it makes the buying process so much easier for the buyer. Lance, and please continue.
Yeah, and I was going to flip side, to the point I think that that John was making. This isn't where you start. This took time to build and develop. And one of the merchants, and Curt, you know them well, that we've both worked with is Styco. They're a manufacturer, of antennas. These antennas are put on emergency vehicles. Very, very important work that Styco and the team are doing. They're based out of Buffalo in New York. Family run, family founded, fantastic business. And they came to BigCommerce and to our partners above the fray, and to Curt and their MEP to help them get online. But they didn't start by building a site that has all of the bells and whistles that we see when we get onto Amazon. They understood their buyer. Their buyer. What do they need? What do they want? Well, they are local emergency vehicle specialists, and they are attaching these antenna onto those vehicles. They're going to need specific information about how do you fix that antenna, what's right for their particular use case. And so what they decided is they weren't going to start with a site that you can take a product and put it in a checkout and then purchase. No, but through the site, you can create a quote. Because they knew and they know from understanding their buyer journey that 90% plus of their orders come through quotes, building out a quote, working with the buyer to understand their needs. And so from their site, which you can see here, which Curt is showing, and this is powered by BigCommerce, they can take these items and put them into a quote. They get them in the quote, and then they speak to the salesperson. But it's a fantastic way to educate the buyer and to shorten that sales funnel, if you like, right? So by the time the buyer is speaking to the salesperson, they already have an idea of the products that they want, how they'd like them configured, etc. And I think this is a really good example of kind of probably crawl walk. I'd say there are definitely a few steps ahead of crawling here, but it's a great example of how you can start with a site online.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying here, Lance. And what they, for many manufacturers, what that phase one can look like this. You're like, I'm not really comfortable. We don't have the expertise. We don't have the bandwidth, the budget to put ourselves out there. Somebody's going to click the buy button. What we're really working closely with clients is like, how do you create that customer portal? How do you make, Damon, your favorite word, frictionless, right? How do you remove that friction? And like back to the desk example here, what I love about this configurator, and we've got another example we'll show Lance, the preach that we love to give is like, how do you help your ideal buyer make that buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your door on Monday morning? It's just business is 24/7. And it's just, you're showing that dedication, you're building that trust to make the buying process so much easier. Lance, let's take a look at this one.
Yeah. This is Eco Enclosed. Sorry, they're an eco packaging manufacturer. These guys have some fantastic customers like Adidas and Bare Materials, but they started the business because they wanted to make eco packaging that was environmentally friendly, biodegradable, minimize the use of plastics in that packaging. Right, I think a really fantastic mission, founded by two friends who just passionate about using eco-friendly materials. And as you can see from the site, if you're building packaging, you have to be able to customize that packaging. And so online, you can pick different sizes, different shapes, and add your own branding, add your own coloring. Like I would say this is a run to fly type of a solution that they've built here. When you select that box that you're looking to order and you want to customize it, you can right there in the site. You upload your logo, pick your coloring, and place the order. Thousands of boxes and thousands of orders being done online. Quite fantastic, without having to speak to a salesperson in this instance. Obviously, you can pick up the phone and speak to their sales team, and you can see they've got a nice little chat widget down there in the bottom, which I think is fantastic. And now that's another area. So we mentioned AI right at the top. That's another area that a lot of websites are already using. Kind of machine learning and AI and large language models have been used for a while. Is in support of customers. When you're on a site. We go on to Amazon or Walmart today, there's a chat bot down at the bottom and we can start, typing away. We know we're not speaking to a person. We're getting some canned responses here, and manufacturers can do the same. Eco Enclosed are a perfect example of it. You pop up that chat, you can start asking questions. What materials are used to build the boxes, etc. And you're going to get answers that are being powered, by an AI model, really, a large language model. That's how the answers are being produced. And so they're a fantastic company with a fantastic mission.
Love it.
And the thing that's you're showing that's really cool about this that was harder to do years ago is it was easy to pick options. But like you're saying, to upload a logo and stick it onto your product at it, there were some bigger companies that were doing this a long time ago, but I think now that how BigCommerce has really put it into their suite of things you can do, that customization that some manufacturers are doing just got a lot easier. And by not just picking a color or size or something, now you can customize it with your own graphics or things like that, which is what was a difficult thing. We
kind of have a term for that internally. I don't know that I've ever actually used this term externally, but we call it democratizing B2B. Democratizing B2B.
Nice.
E-commerce. We believe that the same tools that the largest manufacturers, the largest distributors out there are using should be available to the entrepreneurs out there as well. The mom and pop shops, the solopreneurs, etc. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's at the heart of how we've built our team and our ethos, democratizing e-commerce for manufacturers, putting those tools in the hands of the people that need them, want them, and can really grow their business by being able to build these awesome experiences.
Well, that's a perfect segue, Damon. I found this really cool quote. Lance, see if you recognize this quote. B2B brands can create buying experiences that help them sell more, convert at a higher rate, and influence repeat purchasing and loyalty. Lance, do you know where that quote came from?
I don't know where that quote came from.
It came from my buddy Lance Owide, and it was an article I found on Digital Commerce 360, my friend. And so that came from you.
There you
go.
go.
How about that quote right there? So, Lance, Damon and I get just super fired up. With all these solutions. How about what's going on here with this company?
Yes, Duramark, they're a manufacturer of custom labels. And so many folks on the call will probably actually have seen their labels and just never realized it, right? If you're a manufacturer out there, you know what it's like. You've got safety labels on your equipment. You've got custom labels that you might have over your factories. Someone like Duramark has built them, right? They've built them for you. And what process did you go through as you had to buy them? Was it simple? Was it easy? Maybe if they were out of the box, but not if you had to customize anything. I promise you it wouldn't have been. What different sizes can you purchase, etc. And so Duramark have built this incredible site that makes it so simple and easy to make that purchase, to be able to customize the label that you've got to purchase, change the sizing, change the coloring, etc. And you can actually, again, you can upload your own logos and put that onto the label as well. They're a fantastic business.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, they've been around for about 15 years odd, and they're just a fantastic merchant that we love to work with.
Yeah, we used to have to buy these big expensive machines that would make custom labels. That's what we would do, right? But we use it like, and when you build a plant, you put all kinds of labels up, and then after that, you might make one a month, right? So this is a great. Just made it so much easier for people now with someone like Duramark.
Have you got one of my faves up there is Tech Trans. These guys manufacturer of hydraulic equipment for vehicles, originally based in Canada, but now have bases in the US too. Been in business for 50 years, doing tens of millions of dollars of business, of revenue. And they came to BigCommerce because they wanted to improve customer satisfaction. They wanted to have all of, these are reasonably technical pieces of equipment that they're selling. They're connecting the cab of a vehicle to the back. And so they wanted to have all of the technical information online and really make that buying experience great. And you can see they've done that. You can see all the details when Curt clicks into the products. You can see all the tech specs. They've got video descriptions of them. So we talk about sales teams, being more efficient. A salesperson being able to record a video and then put it on the site is just, it's fantastic. And they saw some, they went live on BigCommerce a couple of years ago now, and they saw like 100% increase in the number of orders that they were taking, 30% increase in the average order value. If you think about average order value through e-commerce, that's really a judge of how good is the experience. Are you giving the buyers the information that they need when they want it? Are you making recommendations of products that may work well with, etc.? And they've kind of are a great example of all of that kind of coming together in one site. I might get the number slightly wrong, but I think when they launched, it increased revenue by about 150%. Quite, those are incredible numbers. Can you imagine as manufacturers on the cast today that we have today? Can you imagine if e-commerce can deliver that for your business? I mean, it's meaningful. That's a meaningful impact. It's just
that's just crazy. It's cool. Just cool.
Yeah, they're a great business.
Okay, I'll come back to you guys. Let me find the stop sharing. So, okay, that was Man, what a tour that was, Lance. How exciting. Just, looking at all these manufacturers just taking their company to a whole new level. And again, it doesn't need to be daunting, overwhelming. Let's go here, Lance. Any advice that you have for folks that are just kind of like the solo marketer, the entrepreneur, the manufacturer out there, limited team, limited budget? What's like a good starting point? Like, how can they like tip their toe to get into this e-commerce realm?
Yeah, I always actually start by not focusing on e-commerce, but by focusing on the customer, the buyer. Understand their journey that they're going through as they purchase your product, and make that decision. Make your decision about e-commerce based on what your buyer's expectations are and how you can make their buying process easier. It might not be the case that e-commerce is the right solution for you. I know that sounds crazy coming from a person working at BigCommerce. And I probably think for 99.9% of businesses out there, you should be online. But the 1%, maybe. But a great example here. This is, we've got a manufacturer. They're a liquor sales person. They actually produce liquor here in Texas. As we've got distributors and manufacturers, and they are, they've got to sell through distributors. They've got, specific rules they have to follow. But what they realized is that, and this is kind of true, when you're selling alcohol, the products are very similar. They're pretty much the same, especially when you get into liquor. There are only so many products you're producing,
right.
And your distributors, they know the SKUs of those products, and this is applicable to so many industries out there. They know the SKUs. They don't need fancy pictures. They just need almost a spreadsheet online that they can type the SKU in and type the quantity into, right? And there are other industries that's applicable to. And so what did they start with? They built a site that's basically an order pad. It's an order pad that you can log into. You type the SKUs in. You can actually search for the product too. So, you could type in their bourbon that they're selling or bourbon that they're selling, depending on how you say it, and then a quantity. And that's it. And so, that sounds like the most basic and simple starting place. But they got to that solution because they spoke to their buyers, and they understood that, they're not looking for fancy catalogs and sites and images and descriptions because they don't need it. And it's not important in their industry. And so that's always the first thing I say is start with the buyer. And then advice number 2, break the project down into manageable chunks. And it is that crawl, walk, run, hopefully fly kind of strategy, but set realistic goals. Don't look at that beautiful uplift desk site and think, I'm going to build that and we're going to be live in 3 months. Let's make it happen. That's not achievable. You're not going to get there. I don't want to break it to you, and you'll end up being disheartened, and you'll lose momentum. But if you can break it down into those manageable chunks, like I said, if it's just about getting products on a site online with descriptions and pictures, start there. And then you'll be surprised. Your buyers will start looking at your products online. They'll start doing that research and using it. And then worry about transacting later. As long as you've made that process more frictionless, and you're stepping towards making that process as frictionless as possible, you're heading in the right direction. And so that's kind of those are the 2 main pieces of advice that I give to all manufacturers as they're embarking on an e-commerce journey and staring down what is usually a pretty scary project.
Well, dude, drop the mic on that, because that was just fantastic advice. I absolutely love it. Go ahead.
Well,
Damon.
I think back to some of the companies that I was running. Even if we would have taken our service supplies or expendable or the kind of replacement items, just simple like that. If you've got belts and pulleys and wear items that you need to replace, just get those online, because everybody needs it, right? It makes it easier, and you take that load off your customer service people, and I can order them like I want, and just start at the simple spots, like you said, and help your customers begin to understand, and you would understand how to do it. So Lots of cool stuff today.
That's a good stuff. A lot of good comments. Dan, thank you for all your comments
yeah.
here today. Great comment here. Comment
Dan.
on the examples that we just gave. And if you guys missed it, hit the rewind button, go back and check out the examples that we just showed. Gail's here today. Gail, thank you for joining us here, man. We appreciate it. And what I love here is, along with these comments, on your website, so back to the manufacturer, you say you have thousands of SKUs, thousands of configurations. I don't know about you, Damon, but have you ever heard of like that little, is it the Pareto rule? Do I have that correct? Right. The 80-20, there's that little 80-20 thing, right? Lance, right? Am I saying that?
Yeah.
Kind of heard that before.
Let's talk about that for 1 second. So Damon, my mom's favorite book, right? My mom's favorite book is Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. Oh, hey, there it is.
I've heard of it before.
There it is right there. Your little e-commerce resource guide, shamelessly, go to Amazon, buy that. My mom will love you. But anyway, what we love to talk about is how do you take like your 20% top profit items, your 20% top sellers, just focus on that 20%. And Lance just hit it on head. What is your customer asking you for? And like, start there. That could be your crawl. That could be your phase one. Start with the products that your customers love you for, have been buying for years and years. Make it easier. Start there and then build from there. It doesn't need to be the whole project. Lance, I know man, I'm having such a good time. Is there anything you wanted to share on your screen? Did you want to show any examples, anybody?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind showing a little demo of what the buyer experience of BigCommerce looks like. Let me see if I can share a screen. Give me a second.
Gail made a good point here. So much of this relates to many industries, that's for sure.
Well,
I
think one thing that the three of us on stage here totally have in common, I think, Lance, I think you threw out a number, 99.9%. Like, it's hard to think of a company. I'm very biased on the e-commerce side of things, and especially on configurators. But boy, just tip your toe, because once you get a taste of it, and once somebody mentioned they got an e-commerce in 2011. I'm so ancient, Damon. It was 1995, right? It was 1995 when I got my first shopping cart. And Lance, what were you doing in 1995, dude?
I was 5.
He was 5. He was just out of.
You know what's funny, Lance, is I what's that show, that website, Wayback or something like that?
Machine. Yeah, we went
Wayback Machine. I looked at Curt's initial website, and oh my goodness, that was a ride. That was a ride,
and it was wild. And the thing is like, when you get that first order, and all of a sudden you come in on a weekend or you come in on a Monday, and now you're in business 24/7. And like Lance said, you're focusing on your customer. Lance, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I just to that point, I just wanted to call out a story. This isn't manufacturing; it's a distributor. But I just think it's just such an incredible story of how e-commerce can supercharge a business. There is a distributor of books on BigCommerce, and they reached out to us back in February, I think it was. They have an average order value of about $1,500. So that's a big order for them. They came in on a Monday morning. There was $1 million order sat in their BigCommerce portal from a customer they had never heard of before. A real order.
All right. Lance, I got to call a timeout right there. So Lance, you're new to the program. Damon, I'm on the East Coast, so it's like lunchtime. And Lance, we have these moments of silence when like when you drop the mic, that's one thing. But when you take it to the next level, we've got to have a moment of silence right here. I'm not a young guy anymore. I didn't hear the number. What was the sales number that you said?
It was $1 million order.
$1 million e-commerce
order.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
Yeah. It was $1 million, and their normal average order is $1,500.
Well, hey,
that would not have, incredible for the business. That would have, that would not have been possible without their site and without being on e-commerce. And we asked them, we said, this is an amazing story. Can we use your name? Yeah. He said, we don't want to really shout about this. We don't want to tell people how amazing we're doing and how great it's been. And I understand that, they're looking at their competitors. So I didn't mention who they were, but just an incredible story. Yeah. And, that's the potential of e-commerce. So I've got this is a bit of a demo store. But what I've done here is I've added some of our B2B specific functionality. And so you can see here, I'm on my product detail page. And as well as being able to check out, I can now add products to lists, or I can add them to a quote, right? Directly from the product detail page. These lists here that you can see, they're shared amongst everyone in your company. So you can have a junior buyer who is responsible, for putting together the list, and the senior buyer who's responsible for checking out. And you can set those permissions, right? And many of our merchants and manufacturers are using that. And then where I really think the magic is in this, what we call the buyer portal. It's specifically built for manufacturers and distributors, buyers. And so when I'm coming into the site as a BigCommerce, as a buyer of your products, I don't know why it won't load. Give me 1 second. Let me refresh. It's always fun when you're, in you're live and recording, and then you have to hit refresh. But this is when when we're so used to this kind of retail type experience that's just been adapted, let's be clear, for B2B, for manufacturers. And it doesn't really serve the purpose of a B2B relationship. B2B, it's about quotes, it's about invoices, it's about being able to reorder as fast as you can. And so this is the view that any manufacturer that's using BigCommerce gets out of the box. This looks and feels like you, the manufacturer, have built an app just for your buyers, just for them to use, to be able to view their orders, manage their orders, reorder. And so you can see here, I can see all of my orders. I can also see all of the orders from everyone in my company. If I click in, I can see this order's awaiting pickup. I can reorder with the click of a button. One button push and I'm reordering. I can view the invoice related to that order, all in this site. And the way we think about e-commerce, and this is kind of a bit of a fly, I think, of that crawl, walk, run, fly, but it's about more than transacting. It's about being able, enabling your buyer to be able to manage their relationship with you. And so when I come into my quotes, I'm the buyer. I've just added products to the quote. I can type a message and I can send a message to the salesperson. Please give me a discount. is always the right thing to ask, I think. I can add new products to the quote very easily. We spoke about knowing the SKUs. I can type in the SKU and put in the quantity built in, out of the box. I can also add attachments, right? Custom specs. I could upload my logo and put in the message, please see my logo. Please add it to this beautiful looking canvas laundry cart. And then the invoices, they're all sat right here waiting for me to pay. I can see I'm overdue on some of the invoices here with this manufacturer. Luckily, I've got 60-day terms, but I've reached the end of my 60 days and I owe them, $13,000. I can click on these invoices, pay them. I can pay them straight from this portal, right? Incredible. You can see here I've actually paid off some of this top invoice already. And this is, as I said, out of the box. This is the functionality that you'll have. And I realize people generally don't like to see demos all day, but I want to finish here with our kind of quick order pad. We know, as you said it, Damon, we're buying the same things again and again, repeating those purchases, especially for consumable goods. And so, or things that wear out, pulleys, etc. I remember I placed an order back on a certain date, but I can't remember what it was. Filter for those dates and find that specific order. Select those products. I can add them easily to a cart to just take them to checkout and buy, or to a quote, or maybe into that list, right? I'm the junior buyer and I need my senior buyer to go and approve it. Or I just, type in the SKUs, or I can search through those products. I didn't type anything in, that's why nothing came up. Or I can, search through the product catalog and pick the products that I need and add them into this view. So, and all those options that we kind of saw, those would all be available here. You can have 600 of these options. It's more than, I think most of us can imagine, but we saw it with the Uplift desk example, just how many you can have. I think I'll pause there.
I know. This is so cool.
Damon, I think that was moment of silence number 2 right there, because I know every sales rep out there.
Away, man.
We've got Mike Anderson here. So he's with a great manufacturer in the state of Indiana. He came to us through the Purdue MEP. I call him my cousin Mike. Cousin Mike, how are you, dude? And I don't want to upset anybody, but just kind of light that fire for incentive. All of our sales reps out there, any manufacturer, I would love for you to almost dread or almost like just almost loathe the next time the customer has to call you, the customer has to send in an email, just the process of like now somebody on your team has to do data entry to add the order
Mm-hmm.
into your process, into your system. Like feel the pain of like
Feel the
how
pain. Exactly.
uncomfortable it can be and how efficient your life could be by moving forward. Dan, I think I saw Dan drop another great comment here. I'm thinking I could use BigCommerce for consulting. And then, hey, he wants to do an article. Dan, let's absolutely have that conversation. I know Lance would love
talk to him about it after.
Connect with you guys. And hey, and Damon, I would love to be part of that as well. Lance, dude, rock us, take us home, dude. I know I can keep you all day. I know, like,
holy heck,
you've got so many. You got so many businesses, 60,000 customers plus, then there's thousands more waiting for your expertise, for your solutions, for your superpowers. Dude, let's take us home. Let's tie it up in a bow. How can you take it home for everybody here today?
That's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can. Look, we think about, and there are 5 imperatives, e-commerce, but really these are for manufacturers. As you're thinking about your business, what do you want to do? 1, you want to attract new customers, new buyers. That's point 1. E-commerce is a fantastic way to do that. You open up that customer that you can find. Think about that distributor example that I spoke about earlier. That $1 million order. That can be possible with e-commerce. Anyone can find you. You're available on search engines. Secondly, you need to engage your customers. Right? This is true, not just in e-commerce, it's true offline too. With e-commerce, you can build fantastic looking sites with all the information a buyer could want and need, right? That doesn't take away from the salesperson. This is omni-channel. It's across all channels. You're unifying that online and offline journey. We've got a manufacturer in Australia. They sell manufacturer sinks, and they have a virtual showroom online. And then you take that virtual showroom that you've built online, you've gone through the showroom and you've kind of put your sink together and your bathroom, and you can take that into the real showroom. Now, of course, that's quite a D2C-like experience, but that's applicable to manufacturers too. 3, right? So we've attracted the customer, we've engaged them, we've got to convert them, right? You need them to close. You want them to get to that sale. As you said, Damon, it's 2 a.m. and I need to place an order. E-commerce, I can do it without having to speak to anyone. And if you're offering the terms that the buyer wants, the payment types that they want, right? You're offering their 60-day net terms through e-commerce. There's no barriers or blockers, right? To getting that order. It's fantastic. So we've attracted the buyer, we've engaged them, we've converted them, but you have operations you have to think about, right? You have orders you've got to ship. And we're all about simplifying those operations, connecting with your ERP, connecting with all of the other systems that you use so that data just moves seamlessly amongst all of your technology stack. And that is really, really important, right? And simplifying operations for the sales team. That's what e-commerce does. And lastly, expansion. You want to grow your business, and you might be doing that by spinning up new sales channels, right? Selling on marketplaces could be a way. Maybe you're thinking about actually going into new regions. So you need a site that sells in that region, that's in the language. Really, really easy to do on BigCommerce. And lastly, the kind of other way you might be thinking about expanding, maybe you're expanding inorganically. You're buying other companies. You're merging with other companies. You've got a friend who built a similar business and you're going to merge together. E-commerce is a great way to bring those 2 companies together. Have one login for your buyers. They can use both. You can cross-sell and upsell amongst those 2 businesses. Just fantastic. And so that's, kind of the 5 imperatives that we think manufacturers just have to get spot on. And when you do, it's a rocket ship.
Drop the mic. Okay.
Yeah. Once again.
Man, this was Lance,
Incredible.
we had
Incredible.
high expectations here for Lance Owide right, Owide left, and man, he just absolutely he hit the field goal right down the middle. Damon hit the field goal right down right. So let's do a little recap. Number 1, attract. Number 2, engage. Number 3, connect. Number 4, operations. Number 5, expansion. Guys, if you want to just hit the rewind button, hit that again. Lance, what I love, and we'll wrap up on this. What I absolutely love is like helping support those entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneur is a dreamer. And so the team at BigCommerce, Damon, I don't know about you, but they are dream supporters, man.
Yeah. Dream supporters.
Lance, how admirable. Thank goodness that you and your wife came over here to the States and you brought your talents to the world of e-commerce. Cause like, you're just helping folks make dreams come true to like open up your email and see there's $1 million order in the system. Yeah. How exciting is that? So guys, how about, if you've been hanging out with us, you've been sitting around for the past hour, man, this is a great time to stand up, stretch. And how about we give a big standing ovation to our big friend, Lance Owide from BigCommerce, man.
I applaud you guys and everything you do.
Thank you.
Hey, big dreams, big innovations, big inspiration. Awesome. So there's a lot of bigness going on here all right, so we're going to take it home. Damon, what was your biggest takeaway today?
I'm so excited I can't even tell you. Man.
And
I feel like Lance and I were like a couple decades after I was born, he was born, and we were born like our brains were working together in this thing, man. Because the stuff you were showing today is stuff that if I would have had years ago when I was running companies, it would have been a game changer at that time. And I can only see what you guys are doing today and how cool that is.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, guys. And boy,
thank you guys.
And what a great competitive advantage. Just think of like, you know what, get to the point where like your customers just really, they hate your guts because you've gotten so far advanced with your e-commerce strategy. They're like, those gosh darn competitors, how did they get so far ahead? Why did we sit on this? Don't let that happen to you. Don't wait it's not too late, but boy, let's not wait any longer. So
the technology's there.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you more than you know. And any parting words? We want folks to connect with you on LinkedIn. Go to BigCommerce. Any last words for you, Lance?
As you said, connect with me on LinkedIn. Reach out if you have questions. Want to platform? Just let me know. But I have to go. Thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been fantastic.
Awesome. Guys, have a great, amazing, incredible weekend. We appreciate you. Thanks for everybody in the chat. Dan, Michael, Gail, Inger, everybody that dropped a comment. We appreciate you joining us week in and week out. Damon, close us out, brother.
All right. Well, thanks, Curt. Thanks, Lance. Oh, my goodness. My goodness. The chat was on fire today. Dan Aldridge, my friend. You got lots of good stuff. Like you said, Gail, I'm flipping back through here. So many people. I can't even name them all. But Lance, you showed us some things about B2B e-commerce solutions from BigCommerce that, man, I didn't know were available out of the box like this now, all the way from, I can have a consumer facing, I can have a B2B facing, right on the same thing with the same products and services, and then how it integrates into the ERP systems behind it. So we can actually, like you said, we can process those orders and get those things shipped and get that information back to the customer. Yes, I'm very excited about this. This is so cool. Thanks so much, Lance. Thanks everyone else for being here today. We'll be back again next week. Take it easy, y'all.